What's going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy True Raider coming at you with another video. Now, there's not a whole lot of news happening right now, and content is kind of getting a little dry. But there is a couple of things that I wanted to talk with you guys about today. One of those being that the Arizona Cardinals. There's a report that came out on NFL.com. It's talking about what's his name, Monty Austinfort, right? The general manager of the Arizona Cardinals did state that he is open to conversations about trading the number 4 overall pick. And I got to tell you guys, while it sounds kind of interesting, and maybe there's a chance that if we move up to number 4, that Jaden Daniels might fall. Maybe he tells teams he doesn't want to get drafted to them, or whatever that looks like, right? But really, to move up to number 4, we're looking at probably around 3 first rounders, right? And while on one side, I would be totally open to trading 3 first rounders to get Jaden Daniels. I personally would, because what I believe is that if we get a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, then that totally changes what kind of contender the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be for this season. Now, if we go into the season with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, or maybe like a Michael Penix Jr., something like that, I do believe that the Raiders are still going to be, trying to get into the playoffs. But if we put, one of these first 3 quarterbacks that are looking to come off the board, a Caleb Williams, a Jaden Daniels, a Drake May, into the roster that we already have, I really believe that we're an instant contender. We have very few holes right now. I think that we need, we might bring back Greg Van Roten, but we really need a right guard. I think Thayer Mumford is going to go in for that right tackle. We do need a cornerback 1, and that's something that we're going to talk about as well. So we do have a couple of holes we could use to beef up our linebacker room, things like that. But really, we have a good, solid roster right now. Now, if we were to trade 3 first-round picks to go out and move up to number 4, some of the arguments I've seen is that, well, historically, the Raiders' number 1 draft picks have not really panned out. So, get rid of those picks, go get your quarterback. Now, those were with different regimes, right? And really, Tom Telesco has done a pretty decent job with his first rounders and his second rounders. It's really his third, fourth, and fifths that really haven't panned out quite as well. So I do see that, if we hold on to those picks, that Tom Telesco might be able to do something better. Also, with the influence of AP, I really think that they could do really well with those picks. Now, if we do go ahead and move from those picks and move up to number 4, we are not guaranteed to get the quarterback that we want, and let's say that, it's pretty obvious Antonio Pierce does want Jaden Daniels. We move up to number 4, Jaden Daniels comes off the board, pick number 2, pick number 3, and then all of a sudden we traded away 3 first-round draft picks to choose who, right? Let's say Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels go 1, 2, and 3. We're sitting there at number 4, and who are we going to select? J.J. McCarthy, Marvin Harrison Jr., one of these players that we don't necessarily need to pick up. So I don't think that we're going to see anything going on with the off, like before the draft, of us moving up. Now, however, if that pick is still available and one of these quarterbacks does fall down the draft a little bit, I could see us, when the Cardinals are going to pick for number 4, they're on the clock. I could see the Raiders calling them at that time. I don't see us calling them in advance to be able to go and move up for that. Another one I want to talk about is that Antonio Pierce was at the Alabama Pro Day, and he was, there was footage of him meeting with Terrion Arnold. And this would be a really good pickup, I believe. There was some reports that went out that, AP was talking about really wanting to address the cornerback 1 position and finding a high importance in this pickup, right? And he didn't say if it was going to be in the draft. He didn't say if it was going to be in free agency. Really, in free agency, most of those cornerback ones are off the board. There's a handful, like Gilmore is still out there and things, some of these older guys that could step into that role, but they are getting a little long in the tooth. And so I don't know that we're going to go that route unless we get them really, really cheap. Now, Terrion Arnold is really the number one cornerback in this draft. He's the number one prospect right now. And, he's playing opposite of Kool-Aid McKinstry. And I really think that, part of that is like Kool-Aid McKinstry had the injury and it's kind of falling down draft boards. Terrion Arnold, however, I mean, I have watched some tape. I haven't watched a ton, but I really like what I see out of him. And obviously, Antonio Pierce likes something because he wouldn't be out there meeting with him just for fun, right? Now, I personally like Quinyon Mitchell. I watched a lot of tape on him. I really like his style of play. I really feel like his energy is on point. But Terrion Arnold also, clicks all those same boxes for me, and looking at his stat line, it's pretty comparable to like a Devin Witherspoon, which, really I think that he was the corner that really in this last year's draft that really performed the best coming in to the NFL in the rookie year. Now, if we go out there and we pick up Terrion Arnold, let's say we stay at number 13, right? And we pick up Terrion Arnold, it really solidifies the defense that we're going to be looking at coming into next year, because we do have a Brandon Faison, we do have Jacorian Bennett that are sitting in that other corner. And I'd like to see what Jacorian Bennett, how he steps it up for this next coming season. But man, if we could bring in somebody like a Terrion Arnold, I really think that we have that shutdown corner. The defensive line is stacked. We have Jack Jones on the other side. We have Nate Hobbs in the slot. It's like, man, where are you going to go? Where our offense is going to go to really, pick on that weak player. And I don't think that they're going to have that. They're going to be forced to be, trying to pick on our linebackers, which, our linebackers are pretty good, right? Robert Spillane really showed out for us. Divine Diablo, he could use some improvement in his game, although I do believe he is a good linebacker, right? So the only other options between moving up to pick number 4 right now, right? Or to pick at number 13, maybe pick up a corner or an offensive lineman or even a quarterback at number 13. The other option is, do we trade back? And like there's a lot of mock drafts that are going out that are showing Michael Penix out at like pick 44 or even later. I even saw one that he came out at pick 77, which, let's face it, guys, he is not going to drop that far because what's going to happen during the draft is there's going to be a run on quarterbacks, right? I believe that, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May are going to go 1, 2, and 3, right? And then the next quarterback that I think is going to go off the board is going to be DJ McCarthy. And he might go at 4. The Chargers might even pick him up at 5 because I could really see Jim Harbaugh really looking at picking up his guy from Michigan and then having him learn under Herbert. And then as they build that offense, they would really do well by getting rid of Herbert's contract, even though he's a great quarterback. Getting rid of that really large contract and then moving forward to the JJ McCarthy that's been able to sit for a year or two under Herbert and really learn while they build the rest of that offense, and then we have, rumors that, the Broncos are interested in Bo Nix, which, I would love for the Broncos to pick up Bo Nix because that means that we're not going to, because I really do not see Bo Nix being a good fit for the Raiders. Now, at that point, if we get to number 13 and all these quarterbacks are off the board and Michael Penix Jr. is really the only quarterback left from that second tier, if we don't pick him up at 13, which I think is kind of a reach for him, if it wasn't for his injury history and the 2 torn ACLs, I really think that he would be a pretty high first round draft pick. But because of the injury history, a lot of teams are a little skeptical on him, and I do see him falling back further than that. However, if we move back, there's no guarantee that some other team doesn't swoop him and pick him up before we pick. So if we trade back and then we miss out on Michael Penix Jr., if our plan is to draft a quarterback this year, then we're left with things like a Spencer Rattler or a Jordan Travis, who, he just came off that really bad broken leg. That was a really bad compound fracture. I mean, his leg was looking like a right angle. And that was just in November. So there's no way he's going to be ready for this season. So if we picked up on somebody like a Jordan Travis, what we're looking at is sitting him for at least 1 year behind Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, so he can heal up and really get ready. So I don't really know what would be in our best interest moving on, with trading back. I really think that we are either going to move up in the draft or we're going to pick at 13. There is another report that went out by Sports Illustrated, and they were talking about that the Washington Commanders are the most likely team to move out of those top 3 picks. And what they're talking about is that they have so much building to do, that picking up a quarterback at number 2 might not be in their best interest. And I really stand strong on that. And the best example I can think of is Justin Fields. The Bears moved up, they went and got Justin Fields, and they did not have any kind of team around him, right? And I think that Bryce Young's looking at that same thing with the Carolina Panthers. So you pick up Justin Fields, number 2 overall pick, and then don't have anybody else around him. And the Bears started building their team after that, right? And they're just now getting to a spot where they have a legitimate team going on, right? They still need work on that offensive line, but they have really improved that offense and the defense. So now they moved on from Justin Fields for, like a soup and a couple of envelopes, you know what I'm saying? Like, they moved on from him for nothing. And they finally had their team built, and now they're going to draft another quarterback. So basically, they wasted that draft pick on Justin Fields, and it really didn't do them any good, except for getting them pretty high in the draft because all they had was quarterback and nothing else. So now if the Washington Commanders, if they pick up Jaden Daniels or Drake May at number 2, they have improved their team some. They picked up Austin Eckler. They picked up a couple other players during free agency, but I don't really think it's enough. I think that they still need to build before picking up a quarterback. So if they move on from that pick, they get some good draft capital, maybe even a player wrapped in with that deal, and then they can really build their team this year and look at, drafting a quarterback next year. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think on this. I mean, I'm really torn between what I want and what I think the Raiders will do, because really what I want is Jaden Daniels. Do I think that the Raiders are going to move what it's going to take or be able to move what it's going to take to get him? I don't really think so at this point. I'm starting to feel more and more that we're going to pick up on a corner, or we're going to pick up on Michael Penix Jr. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, man. Please hit that subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.